Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our second virtual and 105th annual meeting. It is great to see all of you, and I hope you are staying safe and healthy. We have an exciting evening planned, and we will try to adhere to an efficient timeline, as that is one of the only things we all enjoy Zoom for these days. Before I introduce Jordana Lubliner to sing Hatikva and the Star Spangled Banner, officially bringing our event or our annual meeting to an opening, I'd like to turn our thoughts to Israel for a moment. We hope that the escalation ends quickly and peacefully, with minimal loss of life, injury, and destruction. Our thoughts and prayers go out to our JCC Tzahal community, our shlichim and their families, and to everyone locally and in Israel who has been impacted by recent and ongoing events. Jordana, please lead us in the Hatikva, and then we will go right into the Star Spangled Banner. Thank you.
Kol balevav anima nefesh Yehudi homia ufalte mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia. Od Lord, Hatikvatenu, Hatikva bashnot ha'ayim, Liotam hoshi berotzenu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Liotam hoshi berotzenu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Jordana, thank you. That was exceptional.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor.
Oh, we're lucky to have you.
Thank you. I'll mute myself now.
Great. So again, welcome everyone to the 105th annual meeting. Before I start the State of the J remarks, wanted to congratulate and thank our volunteers of the year. I wanted to congratulate Jeff Popper, our awardee for the Hyacinthe and Harold Hoffman Humanitarian Award. I wanted to thank our outgoing board members for their unmatched and passionate and appreciated service. And I wanted to welcome our new members after we do our new member part of the agenda item. And I'm really just looking forward to hearing and to watching the celebration of the JCC, which is what an annual meeting can be. As we were finishing up an unusual camp season, one of our board members and I were meeting on their porch, outside and socially distanced, for a drink. They asked me, "What are your thoughts and how are you feeling about the JCC's future?" Our building had reopened on June 1st, and we had made the decision to do whatever we could to serve community through the pandemic. Our camp operated at half capacity. Our membership was experiencing a consistent monthly decline, and our early learning programs were projecting a 40% decrease in enrollment. I said without hesitation, I'm bullish on our future. After an 88-day closure to end last year, we had reopened and operated from June through August without interruption, with no playbook, and were proving to be equal parts lucky, beneficiaries of philanthropic support and guidance, and adept at navigating rapidly changing government and CDC requirements and guidelines. I remember saying to them, as long as we are allowed to remain open and given a ticket to the dance, I like our chances, and we will be able to get through this. And get through this we did. Some highlights from the last year. We were open every single day. At times, it looked and felt different. We wore masks, refrained from meeting in person, and kept our intergenerational community so much a differentiating and beautiful attribute that makes us who we are, separate. But we evolved, we pivoted, and we were here for a community that needed us more than ever. Seniors were unable to leave their homes, much less attend holiday luncheons, so we brought the holidays to them. We coordinated care packages that were dropped off so that homebound seniors remained connected and felt remembered. The J-Cares department coordinated regular food, can, and supply drives and collected thousands of pounds of food and critical care items for those who were most impacted by the pandemic. When the Stamford Public Schools announced they would be going to a hybrid virtual learning program, our professional team immediately pivoted their programs to meet the needs of the community. The JCC Sarah Walker Nursery School offered a kindergarten program that filled to capacity, and the JCC Kids Place After School program converted to a hybrid on-site virtual learning program to make sure we could continue to meet our families' needs. We continued to invest in our future. Many of our members have not been to the center in 14 months. When they return, they do return, and they will return. They are met with the JCC building and campus undergoing transformation. Phase 1 of our locker rooms were completed earlier this year, and they are beautiful. It is just the beginning, the first piece of a multi-year, multi-phase plan. Upon completion of the locker rooms, we turned our attention to a project 40 years in the making. We converted the entire administrative wing, the library, and the adult lounge into a multi-purpose classroom wing. This will enable us to realize a dream to be a birth through life, full service JCC. This September, for the first time in our history, we will be offering infant care to our families. We are moving the JCC Sarah Walker Nursery School to the Newfield Avenue campus. We will have more agile and flexible space than ever before for programs. We will have 100 additional families walking through our doors each and every day. The opportunities for engagement are endless. Over the next few months, we will complete a front lobby redesign that will elevate our JCC's art gallery and also add a layer of security with turnstiles and outdoor barriers. This year has not been without challenges. The pandemic has had significant impact on our operations. We are a leaner organization, having asked our professional and lay leaders to do more with less. We have less staff, less members, and our community has more needs than ever before. We know that we cannot go back to the way things were. This is an opportunity to reflect on our current position and make the necessary adjustments and investments to propel us into the future. Our people are the key to that future. Our people, members, professionals, lay leaders, and volunteers. These are our most important assets. They are all part of a symbiotic relationship that build upon one another. As an organization and a community, we need all of these groups to be strong, vibrant, and happy in order to be a thriving organization. Our members, many of you among them, who stuck with us through the pandemic, we are grateful for you. You deserve our commitment to meet you wherever you are and invest in your experience. You need to have a voice in our direction, and it will be important that we listen to you to make sure we are creating the JCC you want and need. We will remember that if not for you remaining with us through the worst of this pandemic, we might not be here tonight celebrating our continued impact on the community. Our professional staff, teachers, facilities team members, program managers, support staff, you are integral to the work that we do each and every day. You are the magic makers. You need to be invested in, and we know that we can only execute on the JCC's mission at a high level if we have high quality professional team members. We thank you for your sacrifice over the last year and for your service, commitment, and passion each and every day. You've proved time and again that you are essential, and our members, our families, our lay leaders, and I am grateful for you. Our lay leaders and volunteers, it is not easy to get people to volunteer for things. To take on the role of a fiduciary responsibility of a nonprofit leadership position is a big ask in the best of times. No one could have imagined it would entail navigating the JCC's way through the pandemic. The board of directors, our council of advisors, and our lay leaders displayed equal parts bravery and boldness to enter into the unknown, determined to continue serving and supporting our community with their time, expertise, and philanthropic investment. Our JCC is turning 105 years old. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of a generational commitment to a mission. It takes sacrifice, courage, and a desperate resiliency to make sure that we sustain through even the worst of times. We need to make investments, direct and indirect, into strengthening our personal capital to thrive into the future. I see a not too distant future with 3,000 people of all ages and stages walking into our JCC every day, being greeted by smiling professionals and enjoying programs with friends that engage and enrich the mind, body, and soul. I see a strong, sustainable organization that is led in continued partnership by staff and lay leaders and meet our members where they are. Most of all, I see a community that sustains in good times and bad and is always there when you need it. I remain and am exceedingly bullish on our Stamford JCC's future because of all of you. Thank you for the privilege and for your partnership as we work to fulfill the JCC's limitless potential. Okay, Risa Goldblum.
Thank you, Marshall. Those were really inspiring words, and we all needed to hear them. And we're all super excited about the future of our J. And I just wanted to let you know I'm really honored to introduce our Volunteers of the Year for 2021. Volunteer work is critical to being a part of a positive, welcoming, and nurturing community. Each year, the Stamford JCC relies on volunteers to support programs, provide leadership in events, and help to elevate our mission. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the 2021 JCC Volunteers of the Year. Jess Berger, for her leadership as the JCC Sarah Walker Nursery School PA President and as the JCC Gala Journal Chair. Levensohn, for her leadership and service in running the Tzahal Shalom program. Sorry. Talia Raich, for interning with the Stamford JCC Marketing Department as a production assistant for the Vision 2022 campaign video. Harvey Rubin, for his work with the Stamford J basketball program, including as the JCC scoreboard operator for JCC travel basketball games. Joan Simonelli, for her tireless dedication with our JCC seniors, keeping them connected to each other and to the JCC and helping deliver holiday gift baskets. Thank you all for giving your time, energy, and commitment to not only our JCC, but to our community at large. Yasher Koach.
Thank you so much, Risa. And thank you to our volunteers. Okay. Now we'll turn it over to Joy Katz.
Okay. Thank you, Marshall, and thank you, Risa. Everybody can hear me? Yes. And thank you to the volunteers. The JCC would not be the welcoming place that it is without your help. So thank you all. I have the honor of giving the nominating committee report. According to the bylaws of the Jewish Community Center, a nominating committee consisting of 7 members, 4 members of the board of directors and 3 selected from the membership at large, is appointed annually by the president to prepare a proposed slate of officers and directors to guide the JCC in the coming year. This year, I served as one of the 4 members of the board of directors and the chair of the nominating committee. I would like to thank those who served along with me in performing this important responsibility. Bueckman, Effi Cohen, Pam Feldstein, Lisa Feinberg, Keith Friedman, and Allison Berg-Schroeder. It is both an honor and a responsibility to serve on the board of directors of this agency. In addition to having leadership and vision and presenting a positive image to the community, those nominated to serve as officers and directors must, among other things, have knowledge of and commitment to the mission, vision, and goals of our JCC and support the center's events and fundraisers. Those members of the slate standing for election tonight have agreed to assume the responsibilities of officers and directors of the Stamford Jewish Community Center. I will now read the slate of officers proposed for nomination by the nominating committee for the coming year. President, Michael Gold. First Vice President, Blake Bueckman. Vice President, Arnold Karp. Treasurer, Jeff Popper. Secretary, Jed Selkowitz. Assistant Treasurer, Scott Handelman. Counsel, Daniel L. Schwartz. And immediate past president, myself, Joy Katz. On behalf of the nominating committee and the JCC membership, I move that the membership of the JCC elect the slate of officers as presented. Please, so we have the slate of officers on your screen, and please raise your hand Zoom function to second the motion. We need someone to second the motion.
Or already second the motion.
Artie seconded the motion. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Artie.
Or
Okay,
Betsy did. Sorry,
Oh, Betsy
one of the
did.
two of them did.
that's great. If there are any nominations from the floor, please write in the comment box below. Rachel, are there any comments in the box?
They're going to me, there are none.
They are going to you. Okay, thank you, Marshall. Seeing none, we will use the polling box function on your screen to vote. Please vote if and only if you are a current member of the JCC.
Joy, the motion passes.
Oh, mazel tov. Okay, as per the bylaws, the officer slate is elected as proposed. Congratulations to all. The nominating committee was charged with filling 2 at-large vacancies. Following an extensive review and conversations with potential board candidates, the committee determined who the best candidates for these board openings would be. In making this determination, the committee reviewed the responsibilities and obligations of JCC directors, considered the current board composition, and the past and current involvement and commitment of prospective board candidates. Based on these considerations, the nominating committee is pleased to put forward for approval by the JCC membership the following slate of directors. For a 3-year term, at-large terms expiring May 2024, Risa Goldblum, Peter Rosen, and Monica Smyth. For a 2-year at-large term expiring May 2023, Bennet Moskowitz. For a 1-year at-large term expiring May 2022, Leon Shapiro. In addition, the following at-large board members previously elected will continue to serve. For terms expiring in May 2022, Jocelyn Avidan and Shani Cohen. For a term expiring May 2023, Effi Cohen, Pamela Feldstein, and Jeannie Kriftcher. On behalf of the nominating committee and the JCC membership, I move that the membership of the JCC elect the slate of directors as presented. Please use the raise your hand Zoom function to second the motion.
Risa Raich has seconded the motion.
Risa Raich, thank you. If there are any nominations from the floor, please write in the comment box now.
I have received none.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we will use the polling box function on your screen to vote, which will be Yes, thank you, Marshall. Please vote if and only if you are a current member of the JCC.
Got the hang of this much faster this time.
Yeah.
The
Hopefully the
motion is
last.
passed.
The motion just passed. Okay, thank you. Mazel tov again. As per the bylaws, the director's slate is elected as proposed. Congratulations to each of you. Thanks to this newly elected board for your continuing commitment to the Jewish Community Center and the meaningful work you do on behalf of the community. It is now my privilege to introduce to you Blake Bueckman, the JCC First Vice President, who will recognize our outgoing board members. Blake.
Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Joy. And thank you to everybody. I'm honored to be accepting that post. But tonight, it is my great honor and privilege to tell you a little bit about our two outgoing board members, Stanley Lee and Leslie Napak. They have both served on the Stamford JCC Board of Directors since May 2016. My first experience working with both of them was on the CEO search committee, which concluded with the appointment of Marshall in July 2017. It goes without saying that this was transformative for the agency, and we have Stan and Leslie in large part to thank for that. They also both played integral roles in developing the most recent 5-year strategic plan. During their time on the board, both Stan and Leslie have always been the first to step up, actively leading groups and work streams that move the agency and our community forward. Calm and steady, their leadership was critical to our navigation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Moreover, the fortitude they both demonstrated in improving significant planned expansion during their time as fiduciaries, will be felt by the Stamford community for generations to come. Leslie Napak began her leadership service in the Sarah Walker Nursery School Parents Association and Center Women. She was elected to the board of directors in 2016, and she dove right in, working on the hang time committee for the 2016 Maccabi Games and Art Fest. And as I mentioned, she was a critical member of the strategic plan and the 2017 CEO search committee. During her tenure on the board, Leslie has served as chair of the governance committee, been a member of the Gala Journal Committee, the Security Task Force, the Multipurpose Classroom Wing Feasibility Study, and co-chair of the 2020 Annual Gala. Leslie and her husband, David, are the proud parents of a Sarah Walker Nursery School graduate. They hosted a summer Israeli Shaliach and generously participated in the Vision 2022 capital campaign. With a quiet confidence, Leslie leads from the heart. Always insightful, poignant, wicked smart, exceptionally thoughtful, and deeply caring. Leslie is an unsung hero, and I'm so humbled to raise her up and celebrate her contributions tonight. I will really miss Leslie at board meetings, but good thing I know where to find her, because we will most certainly continue to tap Leslie's wise counsel for years to come. While his involvement in the community spans more than 2 decades, Stanley Lee was elected to the board of directors in 2016 and immediately established himself as a dedicated and invaluable presence. As the chair of the finance committee, Stan served as treasurer for 3 years, in addition to being a member of the audit and investment committees, and led the multipurpose classroom wing feasibility study. We owe a debt of gratitude to Stan for our agency's financial health and growth. Stan was co-commissioner of the swimming competition for the 2016 JCC Maccabi Games and Arts Fest, a member of the 2017 CEO Search Committee and the COVID-19 Task Force. Stan and his wife, Debbie, are the proud parents of 3 Sarah Walker Nursery School graduates. Together, they have hosted JCC Sahal Shalom officers and taken a leadership role in the Jewish Arts and Film Festivals. In addition, Stan and Debbie have generously supported the Centennial and Vision 2022 capital campaigns. Always with a warm smile, when Stan asks, "How are you?" he genuinely wants to know. It is from this authentic place of care and commitment that Stan has made a lasting impact on our community. His acumen, both financial and otherwise, are bar none. He may be leaving his official board post, but we will continue to count on Stan for guidance. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Stamford Jewish Community Center, I want to thank you, Stan and Leslie, for your amazing years of service. May you and your families be blessed. Yasher Koah. It is now my great pleasure to introduce JCC Board President Michael Gold.
Thank you so much, Blake. I so very much look forward to serving alongside you in this year to come. Good evening, everyone. What a year. As we sat virtually together just 12 months ago, we knew that we were in uncharted waters. Our beloved JCC was shuttered tight by a burgeoning pandemic. Our hallways, trafficked to upwards of 2,000 people per day, sat empty. The sounds of construction in our adult locker room and the voices of children in our corridors went silent. And our attention quickly shifted from continuing the exciting and transformational growth trajectory we had embarked upon just 2 years earlier to brainstorming how impactful the pandemic could be and how we would even survive the crisis for this community. We asked our members to stay with the J. It has been a year unlike any other for all of us. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I hope you and your families remain safe and well. And we are once again attending this annual meeting from the comfort and shelter of our homes, albeit not for long. Our agency is emerging from this pandemic stronger than before and is excited to welcome back our existing members and many new ones. Our planned return to normalcy is just the beginning of a new era in our JCC's long and storied 105-year history. And as we prepare for our in-person spring events, our gala, golf outing, and await the full return of our day camp program, we also look ahead eagerly to the opening of the multi-purpose classroom wing and return home of our Sarah Walker Nursery School families after 40 years of physical separation from our facility. During this past year, while quarantined within our homes, many of us rekindled old hobbies and discovered new passions as we sought to fill the time and fulfill our days. For me, replacing my love of dining out meant taking up the art of cooking. And thanks to my newest friend, the cooking section of the New York Times, I ventured into waters my own Bubby would have never dreamed of. Learning new skills, discovering ingredients that I didn't even know existed, and doctoring recipes with highly uncertain outcomes became a way of life. And of course, there was also Netflix, which augmented my newfound passion by allowing me to virtually travel the world with gastronomically based shows such as Somebody Feed Phil and Salt, Fat, Acid, and Heat. And as I think back on our journey this past year at our JCC, I find many parallels between these two passions of mine. A year ago, our agency set forth on an essential recipe entitled Survive and Thrive, which meant that if successful, we would be able to concurrently keep our lights on during the pandemic and remain on course to modernize our infrastructure to continue the transformation of our value proposition for our families. Because of the unprecedented environment caused by the pandemic, we too would be dealing with ingredients and conditions with which we had little familiarity. The ever-changing landscapes of public health and financial stability would require us to move with unprecedented speed in our tactical decision-making and execution on a daily, and in some cases, an hourly basis. As importantly, we would need to trust the instincts we had and our faith in each other and the community that we served. And how did we do? From a food critic's perspective, I would give us 5 stars. Despite the most challenging year of my tenure on the board, we were able to maintain a healthy balance sheet, to hear the continuous sounds of children in our classrooms, to offer exciting new virtual programs, in fitness and the cultural arts, and to continue along the most transformative capital improvement plan since we opened the Newfield Avenue facility 40 years ago. In the rare instances during this past year when I actually produced something above the grade of barely edible, I often replayed the techniques and ingredients I applied to produce an unexpected outcome. And applying that same practice and looking back at this past year for our Stamford JCC, I share with you some of the key ingredients that I believe contributed significantly to our ability to achieve extraordinary results during this most disruptive time in our history. And so in no particular order, 1, a considerable measure of creativity, resilience, instinct, and willingness to think outside the box by Marshall and the leadership team. Their ability to understand risks, to move rapidly as pandemic conditions changed, and to maintain a high level of excellence in execution and communication throughout the year set the tone for keeping engagement levels high and enabling us to endure everything the crisis threw our way. 2, a heaping cup of perseverance, commitment, diligence, and selfless care on behalf of our staff who continued to make the daily trip to the classroom, to the virtual office and the physical office, to the facility, allowing us to remain open and to serve the members who needed us to be here throughout the duration of the pandemic. 3, a generous helping of trust and fortitude from the JCC Board of Directors, over which I have the humbling privilege to preside, who raised their fiduciary game during this pandemic by maintaining a watchful eye on ever-evolving conditions, by demonstrating their belief in the agency's leadership and staff, and by empowering and supporting them to steer the agency through these troubled waters. And most recently, by declaring with one voice that we are ready to transition our attention back to a strategy of growth for the future. 4, a healthy portion of staying power from our members, whose continued remittance of dues and participation in virtual and live programs during this time of disruption exemplified yet again their long-term belief in the importance of this agency to this community. And finally, 5, a dollop of generosity from the federal government, invaluable guidance from our state and local governmental health departments, and encouragement and support from our partner agencies in the community. When carefully blended, these ingredients have yielded extraordinary outcomes that are above and beyond those which we could have envisioned in May of 2020. At last year's annual meeting, I spoke with confidence about my belief that the agency would not only rise from the crisis, but also become stronger and more vibrant, well poised to fulfill our mission for the next generation of families in this community. I welcome all members back to the JCC and know that once you take a fresh look inside, you will enthusiastically agree with that assessment. As they say, we're just getting cooking. I close tonight by congratulating and offering my gratitude to our volunteers of the year, to Monica and Peter, our newest board members, to Leslie and Stan, our departing board members, and to Jeff Popper, the recipient of the Hyacinthe and Harold Hoffman Humanitarian Award. It is your dedication and contribution to our JCC that enables us to deliver on our vision and mission to this community every day. And arguably as poignant as any moment in our history, I say, may we go from strength to strength. It is now my honor to introduce Risa Goldblum, JCC past president and recipient of the 2020 Hyacinthe and Harold Hoffman Humanitarian Award. Thank you.
Risa, you have to unmute yourself. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Thought I
No
had.
problem.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Sound great.
It is my great privilege to present Jeff Popper with the Hyacinthe and Harold Hoffman Humanitarian Award tonight. The criteria established to determine the recipient are based upon the qualities which Harold and Hyacinthe exemplified throughout their lives. commitment and dedication to nurturing the overall growth and development of the JCC, leadership in the support of the JCC through the giving of time, energy, and financial assistance, a role model in upholding the mission of the JCC, helping to sustain the cultural, social, and educational programs, a respected representative to the community at large, selfless placement of the JCC's best interest as a priority on an ongoing basis, and an inspiration to others by example. The award was first given in 1985, and we are honored tonight to have so many past Hoffman Award recipients with us. Please raise your hand or wave so we can acknowledge your presence with us tonight. Jeff, the Hoffman Committee unanimously selected you as this year's recipient. You embody all the criteria I mentioned. Yet, when Marshall and I surprised you at your home in March to tell you about the award, you were surprised. And a few years ago, when you and Lisa were honored at the JCC Gala, I sent a congratulatory note to which you replied, humbled and honored and not really worthy. So Jeff, tonight we present you with verified data to illustrate why you are more than worthy of this award. You are the longest serving JCC board member, which speaks to your dedication and commitment, but there is no doubt that you are integral to the JCC and our community. You have served for 15 years in many roles as vice president, treasurer, assistant treasurer, secretary, and director, as chair of the finance, audit, and investment committees, and have served on the board with 7 presidents. I am happy to report that an audit of all 7 presidents provided consistent feedback and a clean opinion to support why you are this year's award recipient. I will share some quotes from the feedback with you now. My most vivid memory of Jeff Popper from my term of the JCC presidency is of the straightforward, intelligent advice that he gave during the financial crisis of 2007 to 2009. Being a CPA, he was able to advise the Finance Committee what could be done. We took bold action and fortunately came through that difficult period financially sound. I am blessed to have known Jeff since the 3rd grade. Jeff was and still is older, wiser, more mature, and the first person I would call in any emergency, whether stranded without a ride in high school or searching for answers in a boardroom. Our agency owes him and Lisa an enduring debt of gratitude. I am equally humbled and thrilled to be part of their community. Jeff is an amazing combination of thoughtful consideration and a highly considered point of view. He is an agile debater with the humility to listen and, more importantly, to hear. He is unflappable yet unstoppable in all of the right ways. I marvel at the longevity, integrity, authenticity, and expertise with which Jeff Popper has served our JCC and broader Jewish community. My dad used to speak of the best leaders as those who serve as one of us most of the time, but the best of us during the times we need them most. I can think of very few of our peers who better fit that depiction of a true leader than Jeff. It's not just what Jeff does with his technical skill and extremely sound judgment, it's the way he does it, and the deference he quietly deserves and commands as a result. Most times, he is the smartest in the room, and yet, despite being 2 steps ahead of most, he demonstrates incredible patience and care to ensure that everyone ultimately catches up in order that we can all fulfill our fiduciary duties. My experience with Jeff can be summed up as a JCC visionary, while at the same time ensuring checks and balances are in place. Not easy to do both, but Jeff always has a keen knack to be able to dream while also holding tightly to the reins. Having served on the board with Jeff for 8 years before I became president, it was no surprise to me that not only would Jeff do his utmost to support the JCC during my term as president, but that he would also be a support for me on a personal level. Jeff was always available whenever I needed answers or advice. The only times that we weren't on the same team was when I got to play pickleball with him on the opposite side of the net. Jeff's understanding of, ability to navigate, and willingness to lead the numerous COVID federal financial grant and lending assistance programs this past year enabled the JCC to remain solvent and open during the pandemic. Jeff, simply put, you inspire others' selflessness and best work. You are an extraordinary role model, a gifted crisis manager, a respected mentor and teacher, a coveted advisor, a generous supporter, and a treasured friend to so many. You are truly deserving of this year's Hyacinthe and Harold Hoffman Humanitarian Award. Mazel tov.
I want to thank the committee of the Hyacinthe and Harold Hoffman Humanitarian Award for bestowing this highest of honors upon me. When I looked up the actual definition of a humanitarian, I was humbled to think that the committee believed that I might qualify for this award given what I do. I was truly puzzled when Marshall and Risa showed up at my door about a month ago in the middle of a pandemic. I could only imagine what crisis must be occurring at the J to lead both of these heavy hitters to drive all the way out to New Canaan to discuss it with me in person. It never occurred to me that anyone, much less a whole committee, would consider me for an award like this. A few days later, I asked Risa for a list of the past recipients of this award, and it reads like a JCC Hall of Fame roster. In sports, most players worthy of the Hall of Fame are often the best at what they do, recognized stars, so to speak, the elite of the elite. However, some people make the Hall of Fame by virtue of having very long careers in which they never really stand out, but somehow compile great stats just by hanging around long enough. I'm afraid I fall into this latter category. Nonetheless, I'm very proud and thankful to the committee for recognizing me for my contributions to the J. So many of the former award winners were and are real leaders of the J, out front in the public eye, accomplishing a myriad of tangible feats that have made the J such a success. And I have had the good fortune to work alongside many of them, admiring what they do and how they do it. I, on the other hand, prefer to operate in the background, helping where I can in relative obscurity, focusing on the things which lend themselves to my skill set. And there are many of you who do the same, contributing to the J in whatever ways you are comfortable, each and every one of you making a difference and making the J a better place. I accept this award for all of you who may never be recognized, but who toil in the background, doing the hard work that needs to be done to make the J the wonderful place that it is. In this most challenging of times, having come through an awful pandemic and now just beginning to see the light at the end of the dark tunnel, I want to acknowledge the real award winners in my eyes. The doctors, nurses, hospital staff, first responders, delivery people, those who work in grocery stores and food supply, school teachers, childcare workers, our JCC staff, and everyone else who had to physically go to work during this past year so that the rest of us could survive and lead some semblance of a normal life. You are the real humanitarians, and I thank you.
Congratulations, Jeff. Congratulations to our volunteers of the year. Congratulations to all of you for being part of such an amazing organization. With that, I am going to call the 2021 Stamford JCC annual meeting to a close. In Passover, we sing, Lishana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim in Jerusalem next year. My wish for us is that next year we will be celebrating together at the JCC at our annual meeting. Luckily, we don't have to wait that long, and I hope to see all of you in 4 short weeks at our annual gala, which will be at the Stamford JCC. Look forward to seeing you all soon, and thank you for being a part of our wonderful community. Bye-bye.